Okay, so there is no such thing as a good school or a bad school. There's just homeschooling and everything else. Okay, I know this is a controversial opinion, but I'll explain why. The reason is, no matter how expensive or private or religious an institution is, it does not fund the togetherness of mother and child. And why is this important? Only a mother and child can nurture the 4 aspects of our HAUORA, which is your mental and emotional well-being, your spiritual well-being, your social well-being, and your physical well-being. We seem to forget that there's a connection between proper development as opposed to just wanting ourselves and our children to just perform, to just recite facts, or just to memorize. Not everything is about what is halal and what is haram. The reason why a lot of our children stray from whatever values we raise them in, whether or not they were religious or not religious, is that there's a lack of understanding why. Why am I doing this? Why am I here? Why is this wrong? Why is this good? What am I contributing to? There needs to be an understanding of what is the meaning or purpose of what I'm doing. And this seems to be the lack of connection between us, the now, our children, and the future within a whole ecosystem as well. We are all connected, whether or not you want to be or not. And that is how society functions. That is how all communities and societies function and thrive. Even animals and insects behave the same way for the most part. And I liken motherhood and homeschooling to the soil. If the soil is not cultivated, if the soil is not invested in, nothing that's been planted into that soil will become fruitful. Even if it does the first time around or the first season, it will deplete over time. The harvest will be small, which will then again affect the economy. It will affect the dollar of whatever country you're living in, and it will affect all the employment opportunities of that area. Okay? Not only that, it will affect the ecosystem, which we seem to think that we're separate to. In terms of affecting the ecosystem, any other animal that was feasting off that fruit or vegetable will now essentially erode. Okay, so we need to understand that not everything we do has a focus on now or just a monetary value. We are very disconnected from our actions beyond ourselves and beyond our lifetime. We think we just live now, buy a house, and that is it. No, everything that we do live beyond us through our children and through their children and so forth. So all these issues that we have in our communities at the moment, youth crime, youth suicide, drugs and alcohol. I mean, this is across all communities, whether religious or secular. These are problems that the whole society is facing. So I do think it's very important. Everybody used to homeschool before the Industrial Revolution. Okay, so we have to have a look at what are we investing in? What are we putting value on? Are we putting value on financial gain, short-term gain? We need to understand that there is a connection between us and the future, and we are here because something has happened in the past up until this point. So understanding that we have a connection to everything as opposed to us being separate and isolated from our children, this is what will bring about change. All these other initiatives, although they have good intentions, they're trying to do boot camps, or have all these extra classes and this, that, and the third. They've got all these things going on in the community. None of it solves the root of the issue, which is the soil of the plant where it's going to be going in. If you're following me here, none of it solves the issue. Okay, and a lot of it is our own self-doubts as mothers, thinking somebody else or a facility can replace us and do our job for us. Okay, as opposed to homeschooling, which brings the responsibility and accountability onto the mother, which is saying, I need to learn, I need to upskill, I need to create communities for my child, I need to take responsibility for the outcomes and the development of my child and their future, and taking that responsibility upon yourself and joining these groups and putting them into things that are quite relevant, this is very different than leaving your children and pushing them into a system for the system to parent them. This is very different. So my rebuttal back to that would be, if that was the case, it would be working. But it isn't, which is why we are in this mess. And if you go look at the stats of youth suicide, I think New Zealand is probably the worst in terms of youth suicide. None of the facts that they had learnt in school would have helped them. These things that are temporary are more important than being a healthy human being, developing 4 aspects of our HAUORA. All of these physical material things is what is important, because that is what we model to them. We model to them separation is normal, which is why I think all these initiatives are in vain. They just look to me as they are spraying water onto 2 or 3 leaves on an entire tree, while ignoring the fact that the soil which the tree is in is rotting, is depleted, is thirsty. And saying all of that, I hope that this video is at least encouraging to you mums who are already homeschooling to keep going, not give up, and keep up the good fight. May Allah make it easier for us all, inshallah.